1. I was reminded of this story from last year of an attempted dine and dash with a whodunit twist. The setting is a prime steakhouse, and a foretop of two couples in their 20s or maybe early 30s. The first couple, seats 1 and 2, were classic Jersey Shore types, will be referred to as GTL. Sorry, Jersey. The second couple, seats 3 and 4, seemed pretty normal, will be referred to as Busted for Busted Dine and Dash, kicker at the end for Mr. and Mrs. Busted. I get this group the last hour before close, and wonder why the table didn't go to a closer. But hey, I like money. I go to greet them and it's GTL and Mr. Busted. They inform me that Ms. Busted is on her way. Mr. Busted is dressed like Johnny Cash. Hint hint for the kicker. I recall that I had observed them drinking in the bar for a while prior to being seated. I could tell that they had been drinking, but not to the point of cutting them off. I get drinks and their dinner order, etc., and everything seemed fine overall. I did think that they over-ordered, like trying to be ballers. Most expensive steaks, and biggest lobster tail, etc. But hey, maybe they are celebrating. Probably a red flag in hindsight. Ms. Busted eventually shows up, also dressed like Johnny Cash, and just wanted a water. Cool. Food comes out and everyone is happy. I had barely done the 2-minute check back, and suddenly GTL have to leave and want boxes. Our Uber is waiting, blah blah blah. Busted is enjoying dinner. Weird, but okay. Back server gets GTL boxed up while Busted is still eating. GTL and Busted want separate checks. Of course you do. I drop GTL's check and I observe GTL putting cash in the book, saying thanks, no change, and peace out. Suddenly Busted wants boxes now and has to leave. Rinse and repeat, and back with server and drop Busted check. Ditto for the cash and peace out. All of this took place in 5 to 10 minutes max after food hit the table. Weird, but okay. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. GTL is skirt gone. Mr. Busted hits the bathroom, while Ms. Busted waits by the host stand. I check the table and both check presenter books are at seat 3, aka Mr. Busted's spot. Okay. GTL's book is empty. Even the bill is gone. WTF. Busted's book has cash, no bill, and cash does not cover their table's tab. Ms. Busted is waiting by the host stand and I boogie to grab my closing manager. We manage to catch Mr. and Mrs. Busted at the door waiting for a valet. Manager confronts them and Mr. Busted is shocked that GTL dined and dashed. Ms. Busted looks embarrassed, of course. Manager calls him out. Why were both books by his seat? The cash left behind paid for GTL plus a 20% tip. However, the cash would be $100 tip or 50% tip for Busted. If he saw GTL dash, why didn't he say anything? Of course, Busted doubled down. Busted claimed I was an awesome server and he wanted to hook me up with a $100 tip. Again, he can't believe GTL dashed. Manager says you have 3 options. Number 1, get GTL back here to pay. Number 2, you can cover GTL's tab. Or number 3, I'm calling the police. Busted takes number 2 and coughs up a credit card. The best part, Busted tips $100 on the credit card, so at the end of the day, I made $100 cash and $100 credit card tip, and stopped to dine and dash. The kicker, Mr. and Mrs. Busted both work at a restaurant down the street. I suggested my GM give their GM a call, but I don't think that ever happened. Yes, I am a petty, revengeful bastard. I don't know if the whole thing was planned or an oh shit we spent how much moment. My theory is GTL paid their bill, and Busted had an oh shit moment. 2. So I'm running waitlist. I'm outside and sending people in if we have open tables, or put them on wait if we don't have anything open. We normally have a minimum of 2 people outside, but the other guy went inside to be a second cashier. So I'm alone and unable to leave my spot. Currently, we have a wait time for 8+ tops, and no wait for 4 tops. In walks a party of 8, with a lady approaching me. Me, hello, how many do we have today? Lady,
8. Can we sit in the side room, the silo?
We have a private-ish room we call the silo. It has a big O-shaped table with a slit in the bottom so the server can get in the center. We try to put our bigger groups there, so it's a minimum of 10. Max of 16 to be put at that table. Me, I'm sorry, we don't sit 8s in the silo.
Lady, we have an autistic child. The manager lets us sit there every time.
Me, do you know which manager?
Lady, it was the male one.
Our managers, except for one kitchen manager who stays in the kitchen, are males. Me, giving a confused look while I think of what to do.
Lady, how about I go in and talk to someone there?
Me, that would be perfect. I can't do anything outside by myself. Very unremarkable conversation. Inside is our stager and seaters. The stager is in charge of placing parties at tables when they open up, among other things. So if anyone would know what to do, it would be him. Not to mention, I can't go inside to figure this out. Eventually, they get things sorted and they have to wait a bit, because there is already a party in the silo. A bit after they got sat, I get cut, so I head inside to find a manager to give my walkie-talkie to, how we communicate with the stager from outside. I come inside where the stager is and the cool manager who I am friends with is. I hand in my walkie and he asks me, "Cool manager, hey, did you get into an argument with some lady outside?" Me, "No, are you talking about the lady with the autistic kid in the silo?" I had a conversation about that, but I wouldn't call it an argument. Cool manager, "Can you tell me what you guys said?" I told him to my best memory about the same of what I put above. Cool manager goes on to explain that she came up to him and starts complaining about me, saying stuff like I called her a liar, false, saying I embarrassed her in front of her family and, emphasis on, autistic child. Her family had sat down in our waiting area and it was just me and her. Basically, she wanted me to get in some serious shit and or get a discount, or comped meal. She also told him about how this male manager let her in the silo last time. She didn't say always or every time like she did to me, to which cool manager said he knew, because he was that manager. At this point in time, cool manager didn't know I was the only one outside, and after clarifying with her that it was me, the other worker would totally be like that if he was irritated enough. He knew she was full of shit. Something to note about cool manager, he and I are very alike. We have the same sense of humor, so we get along well. And we like each other, so cool manager went to say, "Cool manager, yeah, he's a bit special himself. You can't really see it, but he has some troubles communicating sometimes." The lady shut up real quick and looked down a little, being slightly ashamed or disappointed. Cool manager then told me how the stager who was standing next to him while he said that was on the verge of bursting out laughing. If stager laughed, cool manager would start laughing, and they'd be screwed. But alas, stager turned towards a wall, and she walked away. And then they both burst out laughing. So now if that family ever comes back, I need to act slightly autistic for cool manager's sake. 3. A little backstory. I work weekend doubles at a buffet pizza place because I live in a college town an hour away. I get paid in tips, and generally the customers are good to us. My little sister works with me, but she only works one shift. We normally don't get along super well. So this started off as any normal double for me. My first shift was slow, then the evening people came in, including my sister. We'll call her Sissy. We actually started to get a bit busy, and Sissy has a table in my section that I let her keep because she was low on tables for whatever reason. We were having a great shift together. I don't know what they put in the water, but we were laughing and having a good time. This is important later. So Sissy's table in my section flagged me down. Let's call this lady D.A. D.A.
"Oh hey, there is a hole in my kiss paper cup. Can we get another one and refill it?"
Me, "Of course, I'll be right back with that." I grab her drink and set it in front of D.A. and then get back to my tables. But no less than 2 minutes later, D.A. flags me down again. D.A.
Can I have another drink for my kid? There's a hole in hers. She'd also like a refill."
Me, "Oh, I just grabbed you one. It's right there."
D.A. "I thought that was for her."
As she gestured to the other little girl at the table that she didn't ask for a refill for. I'm kinda dumbfounded because how can you get that confused? But I just grab another drink for her and this time place it in front of the girl instead of her mother. Then I run into the kitchen and grab Sissy, explaining how idiotic her table is being. She agrees wholeheartedly, as I rant and we move on to do other tasks. As soon as I walk out to my section again, I hear the unquestionable sound of a drink spilling. And guess which table? DA.
Oh my god, this is so funny.
DA is laughing her butt off and I grab napkins and clean up the mess. And the whole time she is positively tickled that she made a mess for me. Side note, sisterly love is a thing. Sissy walks by with more napkins and I tell her that I got the mess. So once again I tell Sissy to meet me in the back and we rant. More like I get pissed. I'm aggressively arm-waving and Sissy is nodding her head. We both agree that this table is trashy as hell, and again, we move on to other tasks of the night. Now comes the part that baffles me. One of my tables, who was in full witness to what Sissy's table had put me through, got up to leave. My manager, who is normally good-natured, but tonight he's tired, checks him out. I walk up to say goodbye, and the customer smiles and returns the farewell. As soon as he leaves, my manager turns to me just as Sissy walks up to the cash register. Manager, they just complained about you. Me, wait, what? Manager, yeah, so he saw you arguing with Sissy in the back and complained. In the floor, you can see through a doorway the kitchen, but you have to be at an angle to see where Sissy and I were ranting. Sissy, we didn't argue tonight, but that's so funny. I'm telling Mom. Me, no, we weren't arguing. Manager, I said y'all were sisters and he said he didn't care and it was unprofessional. Me, I was in the kitchen. Manager, I don't care, don't do that. So this guy decided to complain to my manager that I was yelling at Sissy in the back of the kitchen, out of view for most customers. My service was spotless, but I got a complaint. 4. So for some background, I used to work in a sushi/Chinese food restaurant in South Africa. So for any Americans, the exchange rate is about $1 equals 10 rand. The person whose birthday it was had called and reserved about a month in advance. They had booked the entire back room, seats about 12 people. The birthday girl called at least once a week to make sure her booking was still in order. She even pre-ordered everything to make things go smoother. I'm grateful for this, because it makes everything a lot simpler, especially when the table is big. We have 3 waiters on shift each evening. One works takeaways and the smoking section, about 4 tables. One works the front, sushi belt, and 2 tables. And yours truly was working the back, which includes the back room and 8 tables. The birthday girl and her boyfriend arrive at about 7, our busiest arrival time. I take them to their room. They give me a cake to keep in the fridge, chilled. Then she starts setting up the room with so much birthday paraphernalia. Banners, candles and shit, balloons, it's chaos. Now a big birthday table always tips well. We basically get paid in tips. We earn 45 rand for a whole 7-hour shift from the owner. If we are lucky, we take home about 500 rand each night. Decent on a student budget. We allow bring your own. The table brings 2 1.5-litre bottles of rosé. That cost about 60 rand per bottle. So not a good sign. All their guests arrive and the owner has told me, take care of them well. So I put a smile on my face and I am there every 5 minutes taking drink orders and dealing with all my other 8 tables as well. Everyone seems happy, making a lot of conversation, laughing at terrible jokes, making sure they are all happy. The whole night I'm bringing out the orders at intervals, so it's basically constant snacking. The owner gives me a bottle of champagne to take to them as a birthday gift. After the meal, I take out the cake. At the end of the night, I take them their bill. Tips aren't included in the bill. 10% is standard. I got to the birthday girl, who is paying. Bear in mind, everyone is late 20s to early 30s. Their bill comes to 1,000 rand, which is low for a big table. I take the card machine, no tip, nothing, all my hard work. So I suck it up and go to my manager. My manager is shocked. So now I'm gonna put them in an uncomfortable position. I ask my manager if there were problems with the service and what I could do better. Manager goes, Manager, hi there. Was there any problem with the service you received tonight? Birthday girl,
No, everything was fantastic.
Manager loudly says, well, you didn't give any tip to our waitress. So is there something she can do better next time? The table goes silent. Birthday girl is clearly uncomfortable. Boyfriend, I'll take care of it. Both of them come up to the bar and profusely apologizing. Fairly, they just got caught out being shitty people. end up paying a 20% tip, and I kid you not, they took the unopened bottle of champagne home with them, which probably cost the restaurant around 120 rand. 5. This happened a few years ago when I worked for an overpriced Italian chain restaurant. I was a server and it was near the end of dinner. Two women walk in, mother and daughter, and they get seated in my section. Something about them just gave me that "these people are going to be trouble" vibe. As per usual, I greet them and ask if they would like to start with drinks. They both order wine. As per policy, we have to ask for ID from anyone that appears under 40. When I asked for the daughters and not the mothers, she gets huffy. Apparently not asking a woman clearly older than 40 for ID was insulting. But whatever, that happens constantly. So daughter tells me her ID is in the car and repeats her wine order. I internally groaned. I politely ask her to go get her ID because I cannot serve her without it. This, let's call her DD for douchebag, daughter, creature then proceeds to start to argue with me. DD thinks that if she puts up enough of a fight, she will get what she wants. Her mother, we will call her DM for douchebag mother, is sitting there smiling. I immediately realize they have definitely done this before, so I muster up all the politeness I have in me and explain that if she were in fact underage, I would lose my job for serving her. The restaurant would lose its liquor license, and because of the state we live in, I could actually serve jail time. DD ignores everything I say and tells me to just believe her because she is legal. DD looked in the 18 to 25-ish range. Sorry, Snowflake. I am not putting my ass on the line for you. I repeat myself and DM cuts me off and demands a manager. Enthusiastically, I comply. I know my manager will back me up. He comes to the table and repeats exactly what I said. DM and DD look super annoyed, but I won a small victory, so I'm feeling pretty good. DD orders soda because apparently the 2-minute trip to the car is too much. Now for round 2. DM orders 2 glasses of wine. I explain the policy of 1 drink at a time per customer. It helps to curb underage drinking in the dining room. And now DM wants to argue. I stand there while she berates me, slowly getting more and more angry. I've been a server a long time and can take all sorts of verbal abuse and not bat an eyelash. However, DM tries to pull the race card. That set me over the edge. I go in the back, take a breath, and go to my manager again. I explain the latest situation with the douchebags and he just kinda sits there and nods, face totally blank. He stands up and walks out of his office towards the dining room. I run after him. I need to see what's going to happen. Once again he reiterates the same policy I spewed out and explains that it protects the server, the restaurant, and anybody else directly involved. She pulls the race card with him. At this point, nearly every table on that side has stopped eating and were watching the show. It was hard not to. DM was almost screaming. The look on my manager's face was a mix of disgust, delight, and somebody holding back a wealth of anger. I wish I could remember how he phrased it, but he said something along the lines of, "You have verbally abused my server and me and disrupted everyone else's dining experience. You two need to leave and you are not welcome back." He was not loud and was not trying to make this worse. He just wanted them gone. They both collect their bags and get up, loudly complaining how racist it was that they were getting kicked out, saying that they were harassed because of their race. Just spinning this entire thing worse than a Fox News article. It was quite the spectacle. In reality, this entire situation could have been avoided if DD would have just gone to the car and gotten her ID. I'm glad they never made it to actually ordering. A few weeks ago, they happened to come into the pizza place I work at. I was genuinely surprised. Luckily, they didn't cause any trouble. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates 2 Server Stories. Thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And thank you to everyone who left good comments on the video last week. You encouraged me to do another one. I'm very glad it was well received, and I'll try to do these as often as I can. Not sure if it'll be every week. We'll see how I can get the stories. Maybe every week, maybe every 2 weeks. We'll see how it goes, but I'll certainly try to keep doing them for as long as you guys are enjoying them. Now that final story, oh, that brings back very unfond memories. I never worked as a server, but I did work retail in a place that sold alcohol, so yeah, the policy where I worked, and actually throughout the country in general, is you card somebody if they look under 25. That's obviously a judgment call, but you kind of have to err on the side of caution. At one point it was under 21, but then it was increased to under 25, and I'm sure it'll probably be increased again at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. But the idea is, of course, you have a wide range to for the reasons stated in the story, to protect the company, the employee. Well, mostly to protect the company, because quite frankly, they don't really care about the employees. That's always the impression I got. Although the actual age to purchase alcohol is 18, you just need to be able to prove it. Pretty simple. And if it's a place where you're getting carded all the time, like that happened to me a lot. People would come in, you serve hundreds of people a night, you remember the ones you can remember, some people you don't. Some people just don't stick in your mind. And so those people would frequently get carded. And they'd get very angry, to the point of saying, if you were doing your job right, you wouldn't need to ask me every time. Then you point out to them, well, actually, doing my job right does require me to ask you every single time whether I recognize you or not, because that was the store policy. I didn't generally do that if I did recognize someone, if it was a regular, if I knew their face, because quite frankly, that needlessly pisses people off, and if you know how old somebody is, you know how old they are. But it was always fun when somebody got belligerent enough that I could actually bar them. I think I probably barred about half of our customers, if I'm being honest, and I'm sure most of them came back in, because I barred so many people I just couldn't remember. But it was a good feeling at the time, a good way of venting the frustration when somebody was getting, a bit too cheeky and threatening-y. I lost count of the amount of times somebody said they were going to wait for me after work. Never happened, was always disappointed. Anyway, with that, I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.